I applaud Paul Ryan for his courage and his leadership in actually having a plan. President Obama doesn't, and the Democrats in Congress don't either. So let's first acknowledge and applaud Paul Ryan's courage and his leadership. Two is I'll have my own plan, which will have some similarities in the Medicare to Congressman Ryan's, but it'll have some differences as well, and that'll be out shortly. But three, if that was the only bill that came to my desk and I wasn't able to pass my own plan, I would sign his bill.
Welcome back to Morning Joe. Joining us now here in New York, the former governor of Minnesota and candidate for the Republican nomination for President of the United States, Tim Pawlenty. Governor, good to see you again.
Good morning, Willie. Good to see you.
Let's start with that comment right there, because you're getting a little bit of heat for it, saying you would, as president, have signed the Paul Ryan budget plan. Those on the left have jumped instantly, saying you were for getting rid of Medicare. Given the damage we saw in New York 26 and anticipated damage other places done by the Ryan plan, would you really do that? Would you sign right on as president?
Well, you got to look at the rest of the comment. First of all, President Obama should be leading on this issue. Where is he? Where is he? We got a country that is sinking in debt and deficit, and we got the leader of our nation basically absent from the debate. He should step up and lead on this debate. Where's his Medicare plan?
But you believe the Ryan plan is the right plan?
Well, secondly, I'll have my own plan. That's going to be announced relatively soon, and it's going to have some differences from the Ryan plan. That's the one I'll propose. That's the one I'll work towards, and that's one I'd like to sign as president. But if, as president, my choices are something like Barack Obama's plan, which is nothing, and in fact, in Obamacare, he just flat out cuts Medicare, and Ryan's plan, Congressman Ryan's plan, I'd sign Ryan's plan. But I got my own plan. I'll have my own plan, and that's the one I'm going to propose in advance.
Can you give us a preview of it, somewhere in the middle between those two? What would you do to fix Medicare?
Some of the features are going to be this. We're going to move Medicare from just paying for volume of procedures to paying for better performance and better results, so a performance pay system. We're not going to have just two choices, which is either you go buy it yourself or you stay in the current system. We'll allow people to stay in the current system if they want, but we're not have the courage to stand up and tackle this issue.
A more moderate Republican plan, you would support that over the Paul Ryan plan?
Well, I need to know what it was, Willie. But again, I'm going to lead on the issue. I've been traveling the country under this banner. I went to Iowa and said it's time to phase out the ethanol subsidies. I went to Florida and talked about the need to reform Social Security. I've come to New York to talk about what we need to do. And we got to fix Medicare as well. And President Obama is ducking the issue. I'm
going to send it to the guys in D.C. in just a minute, but I do want to ask you about a poll. We have a new poll that's a Gallup poll, which has the Republican field lining up this way. Mitt Romney at 17%, Sarah Palin, who's not in the race, at 15%, and you down there at 6%. What do you do, Governor, to move the needle, to move you up that list?
Well, I'm a new face to the scene, and as I get better known, we're getting more support. And so that's a national poll. Republicans still don't even know my name or who I am. And so as I'm getting better known, we're getting more support. And these early polls are just a measure of familiarity or name ID. And if they were good predictors of how it was going to turn out, we'd have President Giuliani or President Howard Dean. And so these early polls mean not much other than do you recognize somebody's name. And I'm the new face on the scene who ran last time, who have fairly catchable levels of support.
What do you make of Governor Sarah Palin's bus tour? Some saying it could. She's emboldened by the fact that Mike Huckabee and some others have stepped to the side. What do you think about her running for president?
Who knows? I mean, I don't know if she's running or not. I don't know what the bus tour means or not. And whoever's going to get in, I hope they get in soon, because I want the field to be set so we can have the real debate. The country is facing huge issues, and we need to quit worrying about polls and bus tours and get onto the issue of how we're going to fix the country and get the country back on track. The country in many ways is slipping away, and we don't have a lot of time to fix it. The time is now. We need leaders, and so I'm not going to be worried about bus tours and name ID polls that don't even relate to the early states. Let's get to the issues and let's fix the darn problems.
All right, I got a lot of questions for you with the guys down in Washington. Guys, take it away.
Hey, Governor Pawlenty, thanks so much for being with us. Do you agree? We had Steve Israel on, head of the DCCC, and he was talking about Paul Ryan wanting to end Medicare to pay for oil tax breaks. That's obviously what Republicans are going to be hearing over the next year or two. How do you respond to that attack? Because obviously this is the Democratic game plan moving forward through 12.
I respond this way. President Obama has a campaign plan, but he doesn't have an economic plan or a plan to fix the debt and the deficit. And so we're all wasting each other's time, Joe. If we're not willing to say what it's going to take to fix the problems and properly identify the problems, then I'm wasting your time, we're wasting this show's time, and President Obama, again, is ducking the issue. So I've decided I'm going to lead.
All right, so on Medicare, you're going to lead. What about on tax reform and taxes on the rich? There are other ways to bring in revenue. There are other ways to try and prevent an economic crisis. Are you willing to talk about those issues as well?
I am, Mika. In fact, in my announcement speech on Monday in Iowa, I said, look, we're going to phase out not just subsidies for ethanol, but every subsidy possible as part of a larger reform. And so as part of a tax reform, we should go through the tax code, for example, and clean out as many of the special deals, carve-outs, and, you know, cronyism in the tax code as possible. I was down in Florida the other day to say, you know what, as to Social Security, we're not going to change it if you're in the system or near retirement, but for the next generation, we're going to raise the retirement age. And by the way, we're also going to means test the cost of living adjustment. So if you're wealthy, you're not going to get that in the future. If you're middle income or lower income, you will, and on down the list. But we're putting specific proposals on the table. We're going to look the American people in the eye, tell them what it's really going to take to fix the problem, and we'll rise or fall on that.
Andrea, that is a new kind of campaign. You go to Florida and promise to raise the retirement age. Marco Rubio did that and won.
No,
go to Iowa and say these ethanol subsidies, unlike Pat Buchanan.
Hello.
and it went
in that year, Joe.
Yeah, Pat's opinion on ethanol subsidies has changed since 1996 and 2000. But so go ahead, Andrea.
Well, it's also that the economics of ethanol, Governor, have changed since then, and ethanol is not as important right now to Iowa farmers. But that said, you are taking some very tough positions. What happens to you, though, if Sarah Palin and or Michelle Bachmann get in the race and are not talking so specifically about these issues, the sort of really meat and potatoes issues that you're trying to tackle? Doesn't that take the limelight away, take the money away, bleed your campaign in Iowa in particular?
Well, good morning to you, Andrea. And as to ethanol, I think when Pat ran back in 1858...
oh my God! Poor Pat.
Ethanol was still on the drawing board. But no, it's more important now than ever. The industry is bigger than ever and the like. But you know, we can't have any more sacred cows, and this is about the budget, and I think renewable fuel still has a bright future in America, but we can't subsidize it with cash anymore, and that's why I said what I said in Iowa. As to Governor Palin or Congresswoman Bachmann, I don't know if they're going to get in the race or not, but each of us has a different background. Each of us has a different record. Some of the things I bring to the table are this: a blue-collar background that helps me connect with people, but more importantly, I ran a state for 8 years. I reduced spending, I cut taxes net over my 8 years, I did school reform, market-based health care reform, public employee pension reform, welfare reform, litigation reform, and I'm not just flapping my jaw about it and giving speeches or offering failed amendments. I actually got it done in a tough environment, one of the most liberal environments in this country, and as Frank Sinatra would sing about New York, if we can do it there, we can do it anywhere.
Well, let me just ask you a quick follow-up, because you tweeted last night about the president. Sorry to interrupt your European pub crawl, but where's your plan on Medicare? And that's pretty tough. Are you suggesting he shouldn't have gone to Ireland, he shouldn't have gone to England, he shouldn't have gone to the G8 summit where they're talking about Libya, they're talking about the economic future of the Europeans and of the globe?
Andrea, I like a Guinness or a Smithwick's as much as the next person, so I got nothing against drinking beer. In fact, you know, if I wasn't doing this, I'd be drinking more beer and playing hockey. But, you know, this is more important. And, of course, the president should go to the G8 summit. We were just having a little fun with that part of it. But the more important point is this: the country is sinking in debt and deficit. And where is his plan? The thing that is dragging down the finances of the country is mostly the entitlement programs, and he has no ability or courage or willingness to stare the American people in the eye and tell them what it's going to take to really fix it, and he's ducking. And we need leadership.
Governor, we're going to turn the mic over to the man you insulted earlier.
Here we go.
Pat Buchanan, do you have a question?
We came in second out there, Governor. Governor, I'd like to ask you, George Will quotes you as saying that Barack Obama's policy on Libya has been insufficiently ambitious. What do you think the President of the United States should do in Libya that's more ambitious?
Well, and as to your second place finish in Iowa, Pat, remember in Talladega Nights that line that said, if you're not first, you're last.
Oh, man.
It's tough, Pat.
No, I'm just teasing. But as to Libya, the president has said repeatedly and said again just yesterday Gaddafi must go. But the United Nations has now tied his hands through this resolution that limits his options to make Gaddafi go very quickly or very easily. I would have never subordinated our options to the United Nations. I would have kept the decision-making fully in our lap so that we needed, if you say Gaddafi must go, you don't want to let him sit there for 6 months or a year and continue the situation that we have.
Thank you so much, Governor Pawlenty and Sam Stein. Anybody that quotes Ricky Bobby has my attention.
Yes.
We greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
good luck
Governor.
out there, Governor.
Nice
You're
to
welcome.
see you again.
Good to see you.
All right. That's good.
Yeah,
That's
it was good. I'm not done.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Evolving.
Yes. What do you mean, there was a problem.
Evolving.
We'll be right back with more Morning Joe.